Alright, so I haven't done one of these little update videos in a little while, so here we are. Let's see. I'm going to start with, I got all the gauges wired up, and we got all sorts of electrical bleep bloops. I don't know if I showed it in the last video, but I got the a fuse panel. Let's see if I can get it up in there. Got a fuse panel, all the relays, and I just replaced all the big toggle switches that used to be here. I noticed one, they were kind of worn out, so to speak. Just you could tell a lot of water had gotten in them over the years, just sitting in the rain. And I noticed when I started plugging terminals in, one of the terminals broke off. In fact, there it is right there. So I figured if that one was on its way out, the rest of them are soon to follow. So went ahead and replaced those switches. Got the little waterproof grommets on them, so that'll be nice because this thing will be sitting outside for a while in the foreseeable future. But what else have I got? Kill switch. Actually, it's the master switch. Supplies power from the battery to the relay board via this massive relay here. What else have I done? I've been working on getting oil temperature gauge. It's wired in, but obviously I'm having some issues with the way that the gauge is actually mounted to the panel, kind of interfering with the wire terminals, and it's getting kind of aggravating. So that little gauge might be replaced here pretty soon. I just hooked up oil pressure, and I hooked up the compressor pressure gauges here. And today I've been trying to knock out some of the fuel system. Let's see, fuel pump comes around here, and then we're gonna have this tee off. It comes down, and if it goes this way back to the fuel filter, and then eventually from the fuel filter, get a better angle here, goes into the filter, and then I need a -8 to a -8 female connectors here, and then it goes into the splitter, and then up to the fuel spray nozzles. Of course, I'm missing one. These -4s are a huge pain in the ass to make. So and on top of that, some of the fittings, these fittings that I ordered, 2 of them are just garbage. It's just manufacturing defect. They barely hold any thread. As soon as you start tightening down on them, they keep popping the threads. So they're fucking garbage. Oil system. Let's see where we're at on that. I need to pop this guy out. It's the oil pump, oil coming out. This is the flow coming out. I need to pop this guy out, put a 90-degree, shoot this bad boy down so I don't interfere with the seat, which it's temporarily installed, but it's located where it's gonna be. And that doesn't leave me a whole hell lot of clearance here, so we're gonna 90, shoot that down, and then so that's coming out. It'll probably, let's see, I do have the oil from the oil cooler going back into a return in the tank. So this guy here, let's see, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna come out and then into the filter, out of the filter, into this guy, which goes into the oil cooler, and then the oil cooler returns the oil through here. And the real bitch is going to be the oil supply from the tank. The sump is under there, way down under there. So I'm gonna probably have to take the tank out. I gotta add a fitting to that guy, and then run it up to, I got a 90-degree down right here. So basically I just need another one of these right here. And then, oh, the fuel system, I forgot. So this is fuel coming in, and really it's supposed to be going back to the return. This will be a return back to the tank, but we're gonna have a valve somewhere in here. When you close that valve, you no longer have pressure coming this way, but it'll force the pressure out to your fuel nozzles. So that's how that's supposed to work. This is just temporarily zip tied up here, but I plan on making some bracketry and give this thing a more permanent mount. But also I need the bracketry because I really want to use those hand throttles. You know, I don't know if I showed you in one of the videos, but I had a set of hand throttles. They're actually shifter levers from like an old stock car, and I'm going to use one of the levers to control the power to the turbine, and then the other hand lever will be fuel control for the afterburner. And then I've got it rigged up so when I pull the turbine throttle back, it also kills the fuel going to the afterburner. I really want to use that setup, but obviously, you know, I have nothing to mount it to here, so I'm gonna have to come up with some fancy bracketry. And that also ties into another issue I was having after I got, you know, the oil filter and everything in there. And I've got the CO2 starting system over there temporarily mounted. I'm running out of space here for the fuel tanks. I need one for the afterburner, and the turbine will be over that side. So what I did was I actually took the crash bars, the old Nerf bars that were on here, I took those off, and I realize now, as long as I keep a line from the outside of this tire to the outside of this tire, I've actually got quite a bit of room I can play with right in here. And the tanks that I'm looking at, actually most universal tanks, are about 8 inches diameter. And of course you can get, you know, 10-inch diameter or whatever, but we're only looking at like a maximum of like 5 gallons per tank. You know, I could even go maybe as low as 3 gallons a tank. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how much I'm going to need to boogie scoot down a runway, a mile-long runway. According, you know, it all has to do with the fuel consumption, and you know, I guess this thing will only consume as much fuel as I'm putting in, and the fuel pump itself is rated at I think it was like 53 gallons per hour. So, you know, do some quick math, whatever that equates to, you know, per minute. But anyway, that's where we're at with this guy. Wiring is just about done. I've got to run some. I got to run some ground wires. That's really the only thing I think I have left. I've got power supplied to everything. I got to you know, I kind of last minute installed the igniter box in here. It's just kind of zip tied there, but it'll do the trick. It's good enough for the women we date. But I've got these ground wires. Here's a ground wire for oil temperature. Got a ground wire here for the igniter box. Another ground wire for igniter box. I got a ground wire, both the ground wires for the fuel pump and oil pump. And that should be it. So what I did was I actually, you can see it right under the steering wheel there. I ran a ground wire from the fuse panel to the frame. So the frame is now will be grounded to the battery. So really all I got to do, I thought about using this little hole here, or just maybe drill another hole closer to where these ground wires need to be. And we'll get those all buttoned up. But I think that's it for electrochemical system. I've even got the little momentary switches. Got all 3 momentary switches wired up. In fact, I got them color coordinated, and I should have this memorized by now. Orange wire is going to be afterburner fuel pump. That'll be this guy. Violet wire is my ignition, the igniters, and yellow. I should know. Oh, the CO2 solenoid, right there. So here's another problem I'm running into. Of course, finding a place to mount this guy, but realistically, like all the go-karts that I've seen, they start them with like an external tank. They usually just tow it around like a nitrogen tank, high pressure, like a scuba diving tank, and they just carry it around with them. They plug it into the go-kart, and then once it's started, they unplug it, and that reduces the amount of weight that I have to carry with me. Otherwise, I'll be carrying this thing. It's not super heavy, but every little bit counts. So that's something that I might be taking this system back out, and we'll just start it with an external tank. So major purchases coming up will be fuel tanks. I need a new battery. We're getting down to it. We really don't need all that much. I was looking at a turbo, what they call a turbo blanket, just to kind of make this a little prettier, and it'll kind of reduce a little bit of the heat coming off of that. But it's not necessarily the turbine I'm worried about, as this giant afterburner that'll be sitting here, that's going to put out a lot of heat. So the turbo blanket, more for aesthetics than performance. But I thought of something I was gonna buy. This coming Friday. So today is Saturday, and I talked to a welder, and he's gonna pencil me in next Friday, which is payday, thankfully. He's gonna take that flange, and he's gonna weld it to the afterburner body, aka semi-truck tailpipe. So we can get that thing hung on here, and then I can take some measurements, and we can weld a support rod to that. Need the brake master. That's kind of important. And once we get the brake master in there, we can figure out if that caliper's any good. But I think it should be good, but better safe than sorry. I'm pretty sure I saw a kit. It's about $300, but it's got the master cylinder, all the hoses that run between the master and the calipers, and if I'm not mistaken, it came with a new rotor. I'll have to look. I have to check that one out again. It came with all the little widget digits I need. But that's where we are. We are making headway.